Good morning. I'm Karen Taradas with Social U, and it's time for What's Up Wednesday, where we come to you live every Wednesday morning to talk about social media and digital marketing tips, tricks, and trends. All this month, we're talking about basically preparing for next year by taking a look at not only next year, but trends and mistakes and lessons learned from this year. So today, we're going to talk about mistakes and lessons learned. Last week we talked about trends. Next week we're going to talk about what are we going to talk about next week? Next week we're going to talk about how to make a plan for 2022, and then we'll be off for the week of Christmas, and then we'll come back to you live the last week of the year and do some Q&A, so you guys can literally ask anything you want to ask. So let's go ahead and get started. A little bit different today. I want to talk about mistakes, and then I want to talk about the lesson that's learned from that mistake, because 2020 and 2021 and COVID, so many lessons. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, number one, big mistake made, not being adaptable. And the lesson that most businesses learn from that is please don't be afraid to try new things. What are the new things? What does that mean to you? What does that look like? It might be remote working for your staff. It might be flexible. And small businesses are flexible, but a lot of times they're hesitant to try new things. And I would tell you, encourage collaboration. So if you see another small business or another industry or another small business in your industry, and what they're doing is working, don't be afraid to be an early adapter. A good example of this would be restaurants who picked up on curbside service quickly in 2020. COVID was a thing. COVID's still a thing, sadly. Restaurants were shut down. The industry took a tremendous beating, but people still have to eat. There's certain things that still have to happen. So the restaurants that adapted early and had servers who were, of course, masked and gloved, you drive up to the curb or the parking lot, and they'd come out and give you your food. Tremendous. And it kept them not only working and continuing during the difficult time, it kept jobs. So it's very critical. A lot of corporations shifted to working from home, and now a lot of corporations have a hybrid version of that where you can work at home some and you can work from the office some. But flexibility is key. You have to be adaptable. You have to look at what's working for you and move in that direction. Just don't be afraid of change. And I say that like I love change. I don't love change, but considering what we do, we have to stay on top of changes here, because Instagram, Facebook in particular, they change every 5 minutes. So you have to not be afraid to jump in there and try something new. Okay, number two, the big mistake really is not having a plan. And the lesson from that is it's hard to stay top of mind when there is no plan in place. What do I mean? I mean that measuring your ROI from social media is kind of a challenge. One of the best quotes I've ever heard is Gary Vee has said for years and years, what's the ROI of social media? It's your business will still be around in 5 years. And he compares that to what's the ROI of your mother? There's no way to measure that, but it's something that you'd never give up. People have to see you repeatedly before they trust you enough to do business with you. And social media makes that a possibility. It levels the playing field. And I realized this was a thing when people I'd never seen in my life recognize me when I went out places from these videos or from a presentation I did or from a training session I did. Or I will have people call me literally a year later or 2 years later. I have a lady from 2 years ago, pre-COVID, that just sent me an email this week that said, okay, I'm ready to get started. You never know who's watching, who's listening, who's paying attention. And that's not possible if there's no plan in place to keep you top of mind. Don't be afraid to use storytelling. It's one of the best methods for conveying your brand and your personal message. What do I mean? I mean, if you haven't met Donald Miller with Story Brand, it's incredible. It's life-changing, because the way you tell your story and the way you communicate your brand, that's what people remember. Think about the last time you went to a training. What did you remember? You remember the stories. You remember the examples. You don't remember the stats. Those are boring. You don't remember the horrible team exercises they make you do. Boring. You remember the stories. So if you haven't checked him out, that's an awesome podcast, by the way. Just Side note, you don't have to do it alone. Planning doesn't have to be a you thing. It should be a team thing. Your team will come in contact with things that you have not seen, don't know about, have no knowledge of, and they should be able to bring that to your attention so that you grow as a company instead of just a you. And of course, you can't get so focused on new clients that you lose perspective with your current clients. I've said this to my team. It's always easier to go deep than it is to go wide. And that's just a statistic truth. It is easier to add on a service to a current client than it is to go get a new client. And we have some loyal clients. We have a client that's been with us for 11 years. We have a client that's been with us for 6 years. We have folks that they come and they stay. So that's what you want. You want clients that are going to be with you for a very long time. It makes it easier for you to speak in their voice. It makes it easier for you to communicate because you learn more about them the longer you go. And of course, it makes it easier to keep them top of mind with their customers if they're consistent in their social media presence. Just a side note for us. Okay, number 3. Mistake, not doing any marketing at all. And I kind of have to laugh at this because there's still a ton of small businesses that don't do any marketing at all. And the lesson learned from that would be it's time to transition to online if you haven't done it. Okay, what do I mean? I mean, as a small business, if you don't have a website, now is the time. And I am shocked and horrified by how many small businesses don't have a website. How do you function in 2021 with no website? And I understand that there are plenty of businesses that don't get business from their website. But if a customer is Googling you or looking you up and you don't have a Facebook page, you don't have a website, you don't exist. So I have, again, statistically, most people have the attention span of it's less than a goldfish. Goldfish has 8 seconds. People have 7 seconds. And honey, if you're not on the first page of Google, they're done. They're not going to the second page of Google. Think about when this is the last time you went to the second page of Google. Half past never. People just don't do that anymore. So you have to have a website in order to be indexed by Google so people can find you. Yeah, yikes. And when I say it's shifting to online, there is a huge shift right now to make sure that not only is current business happening online, future business will happen online. What do I mean? I mean, people want to buy things. They want to have sales directly in the platform where they are. Whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Pinterest, they want to be able to purchase right from the app. That's online sales. They want to be able to contact you and get engagement from you online. And you can't do that if you're not online. And, just to say, meetings don't have to be in person. That was a game changer for me during COVID, because by the time I get ready and, put on pants and drive to wherever the meeting is and meet with the customer or the potential customer and then go back, you've spent an hour just getting there and getting back. And that time is not productive. So by allowing, and I love the fact that most customers are great about meeting online because it's a way to connect with them. They can see your face. There's just so much that doesn't translate in writing, and it's easier to say it out loud. So Zoom, I love StreamYard, I love meeting online. It is seriously a game changer. So you have to have some marketing. Now, a lot of companies believe marketing to be advertising. You can have a great marketing plan that doesn't include advertising right away. Now, advertising eventually, because organic stats are the pits this year, but, and I'm just using Facebook as the example. Organic reach on Facebook is not great. In 2021, it's like 5%. So eventually you do have to have some sort of paid advertising. But the big lesson here is doing more business online. It's not only a trend, it's a statistic, and you have to be ready to make that, to do that, to adapt to that. So if you have something for sale, you should be able to sell it online. You should definitely engage with your audience online, and don't be afraid to update your website. When was the last time you updated your website? If it has a 19 in the year, it's time. Oh, it's time. So much time. If it has 2 zeros in the year, it's time to update the website. I'm just saying. Okay, mistake number 4. You don't track your results. And the lesson learned from that is, how are you going to respond accordingly if you don't know what you're responding to? I like to look and see what works. Because why in the world would you keep doing the same thing over and over and hope for better results? If you're posting online and you find out that all of the videos you do with your face on them get 30% engagement, and every time you do a picture of your community, it only gets 5% engagement, why wouldn't you do a bunch of stuff with your face on it? You have to know what works in order to integrate it into your marketing plan for next year so that your stats will go up. That's how you get better stats. And if I haven't said video in the last 5 minutes, video, have to have that video. Yeah, there's no getting around it anymore. Okay, number 5, mistake. Not having enough cash flow. If COVID has not taught small businesses anything, it's having reserves in place. And the big lesson, overall lesson, cash or not, you have to prepare for the unknown. And that's almost a crazy thing to say. How am I going to prepare for it if I don't know what it is? Well, cash will fix a lot of problems. They say money can't buy happiness because you've never been able to buy happiness before. I've been broke and I've been not broke. And I got to tell you, I'd rather be not broke. It's just the way it is. I like having reserves for my company. I like knowing that my payroll is covered. It's calming. It has a calming effect on me to know that that stuff's taken care of. Okay, so in order to prepare for the unknown, one of the things you need to do is diversify. I love not having all your eggs in one basket. So as a social media company, we offer consulting, we do audits, we do social media management, we do training. So something that became very big for us last year, I did a ton of training online, and it took care of our payroll for months because of how much training we did online. And it's a service. It was a way for us to diversify what we offer to generate additional income to keep us going. I'm very proud of the fact that we didn't have to lay anybody off last year. We didn't have as many hours for some of our accounts that we normally do, but we kept our team, which makes me happy. Ideally, of course, you want to have reserves and savings, and you really need to have a disaster plan in place. One of the first things we did when COVID hit was we came up with a crisis message for, excuse me, all of our employees. Here's a crisis message. This is how we're going to address this. We did some research, and people were so obsessed with COVID and they wanted more information, but we had to remind our clients, you're not the CDC, let them get their information from the CDC. And we're going to focus on the positive things. We're going to focus on what the good things that are coming from COVID, the positive community outreach and the positive time you spend with your family. And game changer by having a PR plan in place and being able to implement it quickly, because we're flexible and we're small. Game changer. So yeah, you kind of need to have a disaster plan. Okay. And that's my last mistake. There were only 5. Lots of lessons learned. So many lessons learned, but only really 5 big mistakes. And those are the ones, that's just not according to me. That's based on research that I've done, because I want to make sure I'm giving you guys all the information. What are some things that you found last year, that COVID things that you'd like to keep? Virtual meetings is my favorite thing. I love that. I love having a virtual team. They can kind of do their thing from wherever they are. I would love to know your opinion on what's something you'd like to keep and what's something you're excited to see go. I don't love masks. I'll wear one because it's the right thing to do, but I don't love it. I hate it. It's sweaty. It's gross. But yes, I would do it. So you guys let me know if you have any questions. You can always leave a comment. We monitor the comments, of course. You can send a direct message if you don't want the world to see your question. And we will be back next week. We are going to talk about, I forgot already. Making plans for 2022. We're going to get into plan making next week. So it might be just a smidge longer than normal, but please bring your questions. Let me know what you need, because I'm here to help. So until next week, you guys, thanks for joining me.